All right, so Flicker, you know nothing
yeah.
about Risk of Rain 2, right?
Nothing. Nope.
Okay, so I need to explain to you this stupid thing that I did recently and
Okay.
why it was a dumb idea. Give a little bit of background. Recently, Hapu Games released Alloyed Collective, Risk of Rain 2's third DLC. It adds new characters, items, drones, which is great, but most importantly, a new final boss. And it got me thinking, can I beat all 4 final bosses in Risk of Rain 2 while playing as the while playing as the False Sun, who is a character from Seekers of the Storm, who has an entire gimmick around getting his health as high as possible to activate more levels of strength? The short answer is yes, obviously, if you give one of the strongest characters in the game, whose whole gimmick is health scaling a bunch of health items, you're going to win. That's not what this story is about, though. This story is about how I trapped myself in a near Sisyphean torture of a run that took me 2.5 hours to complete. This was a terrible idea. Nobody do this. Nobody repeat what I have done.
Don't do what they did.
So for you and for anybody at home who doesn't know the basics of Risk of Rain, Risk of Rain 2 is a roguelike. You choose your character, you spawn in, collect items to strengthen yourself while liberating the local population from the stress of being conscious. And then you get to the end, you face the boss, you move forward. We've put on a couple of run-modifying artifacts, things to control our items, to spawn more enemies, to get more of those items, and we're off to Stage 1, the Shattered Abodes. Back when I still had hope, of course. At this point in the run, our goal is very simple. We just need to pick up whatever we can to start our health scaling journey. While legendary rarity items would be great, I was mainly looking to pick up 4 things. The Bison Steak, which increases my max health by a flat 25 points. The Gnarled Wood Sprite, an equipment item that heals 1.5% of our max health per second, and we can also activate it to get like 10% of our health. Infusion, one of my favorite items. Every infusion you have increases your health by 100 health points. Eventually, you get those health points by getting kills. And then finally, the Power Elixir, which has 2 functions. One, it's an item that if you drop down to 25% of your health, basically heals you back to full and consumes it, but also is a surprise tool that will help us later. I picked up a few drones along the way, and I face off against some stone titans, and the only thing I sacrificed there is my bitrate, which, I did not know how bad it was gonna be.
Oh boy.
Oh, trust me, you don't know it, but the people who are watching the footage I'm intercutting in between these clips of me waving my hands around are going to quickly understand why I decided to go with this format for this video. Along the way, we do hit up a little newt statue, which allows us to go to the next mini stage, the Bazaar Between Time.
That's a really cool name.
It is. It's a fascinating location. The Bazaar, as the name implies, is a marketplace where time freezes. And this is where my torture began. See, Newt, who is the shopkeeper of the Bazaar, he doesn't deal in cold hard cash. No. Newt deals in lunar coins. You pick these up mainly just through gameplay. They're an occasional drop. It's a permanent currency that you use specifically for mostly lunar items. These special relics give amazing effects at a terrible cost. And lucky for him, we're willing to pay it. Enter our star of the show, the Stone Flux Pauldron, which increases your health at the cost of your movement speed.
Oh no.
The best way I can explain its scaling is in Pokemon terms. Oversimplifying it, when you're playing Pokemon, when you do a buff or debuff, the best way to look at the number is boop, like a fraction. You got here your numerator and your, that's right, denominator. Now, when you gain a buff, say something to, increase your special defense, your attack, or whatever, you get a little +1 to the numerator, and now suddenly you've got 2/1. When you get a debuff, kind of the same situation where it amps the denominator instead. That's kind of how the scaling works. For every Stone Flux Pauldron we pick up, we increase the numerator by 1 on our max health, denominator by 1 for our movement speed. So you pick up 2, 3, 4, then it's 2 times, 3 times, 4 times multiplier to your health, versus the move speed, it's now half, a third, a quarter, a fifth, and continuing to scale. All of this in total means that after I pick up the maximum amount of lunar items you can get in a single Bazaar trip of 5 and convert them all into stone fluxes, a distance it takes me roughly 6 seconds to run now takes 36.
Pain. mean.
I managed to amend this by burning 5 of the infusions I got in one of the cauldrons, which converts items into a hard light afterburner, which is an item that gives us a couple additional charges of our movement ability. It decreases the cooldown, which is a short little boop, little teleport. So that amends it a little bit, but even that, the distance of that is based on our actual move speed, so it only helps so much.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
With a little bit of trial and error, though, I do manage to make it to my next destination. Now, when you're in the bazaar, you have, namely, 2 different options for leaving. You either go back at a portal from the spot you came in, you can do a little quest to go down the Seeker path, we're not doing that yet, or you can Kratos yourself into the abyss and end up in the Void Fields. The Void Fields is an optional stage you can do starting from the bazaar 1 time per run. 9 vents around the field will activate in a random sequence with you spawning by the first one. Opening it up pauses the timer that scales the difficulty in the game and adds either an enemy or an item to the pool of things that are coming to kill you.
Ah, I see, okay.
Yes, so all you have to do, hold the point, survive long enough till the vent closes, and then find the next one that opens. Easy, right? That's because I didn't mention the Void Fog.
Not the Void Fog.
Oh yes, the Void Fog. If you stand outside the vent safe zone, you start taking a certain increasing percentage of your max health per second. And if you recall, while we have 6 times our maximum health, we have a 1/6 of our move speed. I realized I should probably get rid of this. Thankfully, at this health threshold, we have 10 charges of our special, which is pretty freaking quintessential to this run. The Laser Burst. Wait, is it the burst or the blast? No, I think it's the blast. Not only does it do 1,250% damage, aka a shit ton, but it also knocks us back. It does mean spamming it recklessly can put us in a bad situation, so we just have to spam it in a smart way instead. Think of it like Cyclops' lasers. Like, it's not actually a heat laser, it's a concussive blast from you-know-where. So moving on to the actual vents, this is what we end up dealing with. Vent 1, obviously it adds in an enemy. There'd be no point in giving enemies items if there were no enemies. We end up getting beetles. Beetles are pretty much the most basic enemy in this game. They move slowly and they can only really damage you with a headbutt, which they have to stop moving in order to do. We also spawn at the top of a hill, so we really just camp there, just with our club held high, just waiting for them to get close enough for us to go bam. Vent 2. First item, they get med kits, which provides a max health heal after taking damage. That's no sweat, as we're basically obliterating them in one shot anyway. So then we move on to Vent 3, the Mini Mush. God damn it. So, the Mini Mush, what they do is they mortar fire projectiles that leave a poisonous area of effect on the ground. We can jump to avoid the damage, but as long as we're touching the floor, it hurts. We're in a confined space and we can't move. It's not great, but it could be worse. What do we get in Vent 4? Sticky bombs? Jesus Christ. So that adds a chance for them to attach a sticky bomb to us whenever they attack. You know, I don't think it applies to the poison, but I don't want to take my chances. We clear it, we go to Vent 5. What do we get? Soulless Scorchers. Uh-oh. So these guys have a 2-part attack. First, they cover you in oil, and then they set you on fire. Not only does the oil slow us down for the poison, but that fire can definitely trigger the sticky bombs. So, starting to get scary, but at least we're making it halfway through.
Yeah.
Vent 6, we get a little bit of a break with the Red Whip, which just provides out-of-combat movement speed. It makes hitting the flying Scorchers a little more annoying, and it means the beetles can catch up to us sooner, but given how close they need to get, and the Mini Mushes were going to hit us from a distance anyway, that's manageable. Alright, what do we get in Vent 7? Soulless Invalidators? Oh no! See, what the Soulless Invalidators do, they have an EMP. Oh yes, if you get hit with it, it has a very simple effect. For 1 second, it disables all of your items. Do I enjoy getting to move at a normal speed? Yes. Do I enjoy suddenly having 8% of the max health I just had? Hell no, because at this point, I've got about 8.6k health, and then I drop down to 720. I managed to fight through, make it to Vent 8. Predatory Instincts is the item. It just increases attack speed on hit. Realistically, only the Scorcher is even going to pull it off, but it gives 5% chance of a crit, which, you know, not fantastic. Make it through again. And then finally, we get to the final vent. So Breaking the pattern, the 9th vent adds a legendary item instead of a 5th monster. So let's see what we get. Oh, the Runic Lens!
Oh, that's bad.
See, the Runic Lens, like the Sticky Bomb, is an item that has a chance to do damage on hit. You know, it's similar, but it's different in the way that a nice summer day is different than the full concentrated power of the sun. The Sticky Bomb, when it goes off, does 180% of your damage. The Runic Lens does 2,000.
What?
At minimum.
Minimum?
Minimum.
What's the maximum?
I'm so glad you asked. 7,500%.
What?
You know, that's about, max power, roughly, 41 times the damage. Now, there's a nightmare scenario where we get hit with a Predatory Instincts crit, Runic Lens goes off, we get EMP'd, and then our body with 720 health then is lucky if it can be called a corpse after that. Thankfully, it's avoided. We survive, the Void Fog clears, we're able to go collect all of our items, and we pick up 2 new legendary items out of the entire batch. First, the Brain Stalks, which gives us immense cooldown reduction whenever we kill an elite, and the Growth Nectar, which gives us a 4% overall buff, up to 4 times for any other buff that we have. I pick up a few extra health boosters, plus a couple of other items that give me some of those buffs to increase Growth Nectar, and by the 34-minute mark, that's right, we're not even just technically stage 2, and we're 34 minutes into the footage at this point. Stage 2. The Abandoned Aqueduct. We're going into the Abandoned Aqueduct with just under 12,000 health points, eventually boosted up to 15,000 once I'm able to kill a few enemies for all the infusion stacks that I would have gotten from the ones I picked up at the end of the Void Fields. After a brief moment of forgetting where the second Newt statue is, I go to fight the bosses once more. Another major factor in this run is the new artifact that Alloyed Collective adds to the game, the Artifact of the Mountain. In the base game, you can find these shrines of the mountain. They have a little blue insignia over them. They kind of look like a claw, and by activating them, you double the amount of bosses that you have to fight while increasing the amount of items that drop after you kill all of them by 1 per Shrine of the Mountain. What the Artifact of the Mountain does is it guarantees one of these shrines spawn on every stage at the cost of now, instead of mountain buff going away on the next stage, it becomes permanent. So you are doubling the amount of bosses you are going to face for the rest of the run. At this point, even with 15,000 health, we manage to run through this entire mess of bosses, and it gives me some more health boosts along with a Wax Quail, which gives me some extra movement speed when I sprint jump. And that ends up being very, very important later. I get up to 25 infusions, perfect for, say it with me, going right back to the bazaar to get more stone fluxes.
More stone fluxes!
More stone fluxes, that's right. I double it and keep it for myself. I jump all the way from 25,000 health to a cool 47,000. I did try to go back to the Void Fields after that, but I forgot that you can only do that once. So instead, I make it 2. The Gilded Coast. The Gilded Coast is a special arena. You can pick up a few chests. Honestly, I don't even know why I came here. I think I was still debating on whether to go down the secret path or go to the Soulless boss. Frankly, there is a non-zero chance I picked this one on accident, but hey, it ended up contributing to the footage, so I gotta use it.
That's nuts.
We hit all the pillars, we take down the Aurelianite, grab the Halcyon Seed, and then I go to Stage 3, the Treeborn Colony. This one's very much a simple one. This is where I've given the fork in the road of either I can go to the Seeker route or prioritize Soulless.
What the goddamn pokey.
And after getting to 62,000 health, I end up just taking the normal route and go to Siren's Call, Stage 4. At this point in the run, like any run, if you go on for long enough, enemies that would normally spawn as teleporter bosses exclusively are just there now.
Okay.
The good thing about growth, though, it increases the amount of spikes that I have. What a shame that the enemy is all the way over there. Good thing that I can just right-click 45 times in its general direction and, obliterate it.
Yes, as you do.
I can just make it cease to exist. Once they're dead, I go around and destroy some bird nests in Siren's Call. Specifically, this is how you spawn the Alloy Worship Unit, a boss that not only gives us another guaranteed legendary item, but also means we'll be able to use the portal that actually brings us along the Soulless route specifically. After atomizing all the robots, plus a lot of thought and several interruptions, I end up taking the Rejuvenation potion rack, which very simply doubles our healing. Effectively, thanks to the gnarled wood sprite we picked up all the way at the beginning of our run, giving us 3% of our max health every single second. I activate the next teleporter, I fly off into the sunset, recreate the dancing scene from the third Sonic movie, and pick up some more health boosts along with that Sail Star I mentioned earlier, and a prayer bead. The Sail Star was a mistake. I don't really get any value from it in the run, but the prayer beads are nice here. Typically, you have them for a bit and then scrap them in exchange for some stat boosts, health regen, damage. However, scrappers don't spawn when you have the Artifact of Command, which is the artifact I was using to control the items that I got. While I don't get those stats unless I happen to randomly burn them at a cauldron, the buff that shows you how much XP they have stored is another guaranteed stat for Growth Nectar. With the full 16%, now that I have 4 boosts up occasionally, I have a health pool of 80,000, which I take directly into the Solutional Haunt. Now, technically, you do have the option of, on stage 3, activating a node that'll take you to Conduit Canyon, the first stage in the Solus run. However, because Siren's Call is stage 4, we skip to Solutional Haunt, which is the boss arena for the second part of the Solus run. We drop down into this massive technological vault, take out the initial heat things, preventing us from getting in, and then we take on the Solus Wing, which, like all enemies in this run, have been doubled thanks to the Artifact of Swarms. Thankfully, the method to kill them remains exactly the same. Each wing has 4 modules on it that have their own health bar. Blowing these up does a massive spike of damage to the boss, further amplified by the False Sun's special status effect, Lunar Ruin. And how do we apply those? With our spikes, of course. After firing off 50 or so spikes, I show the first wing that he's not the only one who can fire a laser out of his face, blow him up, and then I shoot the other bastard more until he takes us from Silicon Valley to Death Valley. Normally, I would be worried about being set on fire, however, I am them, and I simply use my 81,000 points of health to just tank the damage and kill it until it dies. I grab some loot supersonic style, liberate 2 more stone fluxes from these fine young Umbra Guardians, who I don't understand why an Umbra of Multi is in this location, and I don't think I'll ever find it out. And with a staggering 100,000 points of health, I finally get to the last stage before our first final boss, the Computational Exchange. One of the fascinating things about Alloyed Collective is it actually added a second proper marketplace stage. The Computational Exchange is home to Specs, a computer that saw what you did to the Solus Wing and immediately activates Bargaining Protocol to beg for its life. That is not even a joke, that is explicitly what happens in the game. We, of course, run right past him to do what we really came here to do. Talk to the chef. One of the little sales spots within the Computational Exchange is the Wandering Chef, who allows you to combine certain items into other items. The main thing you're supposed to do is take the brain that the Solus Wing drops and combine it with a key to expose said cerebellum. But the other thing that we'll be making is seared steak. Remember when I said that the elixir was a surprise tool that will help us later, but also is a surprise tool that will help us later? Okay, well, I already cut to it in the edit. By combining the bison steak with one of many items, the elixir being one of them, it goes from an item that just gives us 25 max health to one that gives us 50 max health plus 5%. Very good on exclusively the False Sun, who we happen to be playing. By combining as many as I can with all the items I've picked up over the course of the run, pool from 100k to a whopping 120. We consume our character's canonical weight in T-bones, give the cerebellum to Specs, and we unlock the portal onto the Neural Sanctum, home of our first final boss of this entire run, the Solus Heart. This fight takes place across a floating grid of tiles that are stacked in a tower, which the Solus Heart can destroy with big fuck-off lasers from God. The good news is, it's impossible for us to fall to our death, as there is a floor. The bad news, the floor underneath all the tiles not only damages us, but provides that same EMP effect as the Solus Invalidator.
Oh god.
Oh,
Okay.
God, that is indeed correct. If I happen to fly off, I will not only be stuck with, at this point, 1100 health plus any barrier I happen to have at the time, while the teleport we have can save us if we get knocked around, that locks onto the ground, and with our mobility so limited, we just end up having the same problem. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to deal with this until I actually got to the fight, but that's when I remembered a very helpful fact. The False Sun is a melee character. He has a massive club that he swings around. When a melee character swings their primary weapon, they are boosted slightly into the air if it hits something and does damage. Furthermore, while we gain movement speed by shedding our spikes, opting to hold on to them instead, we get 5% additional attack speed per stack. We have 53 of those.
Ah, delightful. I was wondering how I was going to do this part, but question answered.
Functionally, this puts us in a position where we are actually attacking so fast, we are levitating in place while continuing to just beat the shit out of the heart. You don't have to worry about touching the floor if you never go down. It's not the fastest I've ever killed this boss, but after an intense dance of giving the heart the old 01100, I hit the virtual super ego with a quip.
I have no growth, and I must beam.
Grab Sonorous Whispers to get even more item drops out of strong enemies, and take off to loop for the second final boss. Stage 5, the Sky Meadow. After 80 minutes, we finally made it to the Sky Meadow, and oh no, here comes the Invalidators. Thankfully, even when I'm getting cut down to, I shit you not, 0.9% of my health, there is no way I'm dying at this stage in the game. I have an Eclipse Light, which gives me a percentage of my max health as a barrier every time an ability restores a charge. The fun thing about barrier is it only goes down through decay or through being hit. So even if I lose 120,000 points of max health, I still have 120,000 points of barrier that everything else would need to chew through in order to kill me. I'm functionally immortal. That's kind of the problem, because you see, that's where the futility starts to kick in. I am functionally immortal. I have eliminated pretty much all challenge from the challenging part of the game. This isn't a movement-based game, it is one where you kill or be killed, and I have eliminated the or be killed part. I just kill. Like, save for how slow my walking is. I've just become the mindless killing machine the corrupted False Sun Starts has. I'm teleporting around with a giant hammer, doing the bidding of an uncaring machine. And then I see the Newt altar and forget about my suffering long enough to get jumped by the color blue.
Blue?
Yes, one of the bosses in the game is called the Magma Worm. It's one that I, and this is a true story, was playing the original Risk of Rain, expressed my hatred for to somebody watching for the first time, and they just donated 10 subs and then went to sleep. To give you an idea of how people feel about this boss, I've had times trying to play through this run where it will just be on the other side of the map doing dick all, and I just have to like march my ass over to it to just try and kill it because it refuses to fight near where the fight is supposed to be taking place. It's annoying as hell.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The overloading worm is the magma worm, but with lightning.
Oh.
Thankfully, I faced down that swarm of overloading worms to minimal challenge at this point, and I pick up both of the boss items that would drop from the respective worms. I also at some point pick up Geo's best friend. That'll revive me if somehow I am killed. Even in the script, I have no idea when I actually did that. As I said earlier, I found a Newt statue, so I teleport to the bazaar again, and I pick up enough stone fluxes to bring me all the way up to 200,000 points of health. I immediately hop over to stage 6, Disturbed Impact, and now that we've dealt with the Soulless Heart, our path is clear. With the 3 remaining bosses, there's really only one order we can continue to go in, which is why I didn't mention the other 2 up to this point. The 3 bosses we have to take on are as follows. The False Sun, which I know I said I'm playing as the False Sun, I'll explain later, it gets confusing otherwise. Mithrix, who is the normal boss that you would take on in the base game, and the Voidling, who, once you beat the Voidling, there is no other game left. The run ends on that level regardless of what you do. For now, I'm just going to refer to the False Sun that we're going to fight as the Seeker Path. We start by activating a Halcyon Shrine, which is a pillar of crystal that fills up while we're nearby and have some cash on us. Once it's full or manually activated, it spits out some additional items and spawns a mini-boss that we need to kill. The annoying part at this point is that while we are able to easily survive, a fun thing about Risk of Rain's movement is that friction is based on your own movement speed, which means that if your ability to run is low, mind you, we are moving at roughly 1/18th of our normal movement speed. You are just kind of at the whims of anything that can cause you knockback.
Oh.
Granted, you can jump to pause your momentum, but that just leaves you airborne while you're getting shot. We hop over to the teleporter to get more of our items, take on the Wandering Vagrant, these giant jellyfish floating guys, and make it to the Reformed Altar. After I spawn in, I come across what I would call Risk of Rain 2's biggest casual skill check, the Scavenger, a mini-boss found on loops who attacks you with a bunch of items you can come across on your runs. Defeating him nets you 8 random items from his bag. Unfortunately for the Scavenger, he is a toddler playing Little League, and I am Theodore the Thumper Williams.
Who's Theodore Williams?
Theodore Williams was the former left fielder for the Red Sox. He was one of the final people to be recognized as having a batting average above .400, although technically that was back in the 40s. He's commonly recognized as like the last person to do it. Technically he's the second last, but that was a different association. It was a whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's right. I wrote a baseball joke into this script.
Wow. Bravo.
Really, a joke nobody watching this is going to get. And that's why I counted on you asking who that was, because I know nobody's gonna know who Ted Williams is. We rob him blind and deaf and every other affliction that comes with being killed, and head over to the teleporter using the on-hit effect caused by our run-in with the color blue earlier in conjunction with our laser burst. Before you know it, we are on to stage 8, the Golden Dieback. At this point, the timer difficulty is so high that boss enemies like the massive Solos probes and the Grove Tender are literally just spawning right on top of us. We are now almost 2 hours in, and I am fully contemplating the near futility of this challenge. I've actually, at this point, stopped picking up health items entirely for the most part, in aim of another item that will assist my movement. You might remember me mentioning it earlier. That's right, my goal is to pick up 47 wax quails. It's great for offsetting my slow out-of-combat movement speed, but unfortunately my base movement speed still sucks ass, so any damage sends me flying. And when I've got birds and brass contraptions throwing the kitchen sink at me, it gets a little tedious.
I can imagine.
It's all worth it though. Once again, take out the boss and we're at the home stretch in the Prime Meridian, the final stage leading up to the Solus boss. Thanks to the wood sprite, I'm healing 6.6 health a second. I have enough spikes to rival God. I use my laser blasts to fling myself around the stage and pick up various chests that can spawn here, mainly to acquire more quails. I am a fairy. I take a few hops up the ramp to the boss fight, and I am finally confronted with myself, the Seeker Path's False Sun. Their clubs are formidable, but what I lack in size, I make up for in speed. Specifically, the speed at which I beat the shit out of anything within striking distance.
You know, as you do.
As I do. Frankly, the battle is over before it's even begun. Especially since I somehow managed to launch the boss so far out of the arena, it instantly kills him. I genuinely don't know how I did that. Like, I was expecting this entire, like, super long fight, or at the very least, a complicated final stage. Nah, fucker just... I Ted Williams'd him. I thumpered him. And there he goes.
Good job.
We're presented with the option to either offer an item to take into our next run, instantly ending this one, or go to commit more crimes. Take a wild guess which one I did. Stage 9, Siren's Call greets us beyond the Meridian. We face another squad of vagrants, but at this point, it's no concern to us. We have 224,000 health. What are they gonna do, melt me into a cube? Unlikely. I fight the alloy worship units as well, picking up a laser scope to double our guaranteed crit damage, and we end up in the Helminth Hatchery, the alternative to the Sky Meadow, that allows us to teleport to the beginning of the end. We obliterate another scavenger, and the teleporter decides to try sending Malachite Greater Wisps to kill me. Malachite is one of the many elite modifiers in the game. Malachite specifically is to prevent you from healing, but that can only do so much when I have so much health. We are in the final 10 minutes of the run, and I make it to commencement, aka
Oh.
the moon.
Why is it called commencement?
I don't know why it's called commencement. It's probably
Yeah.
a Stitches do. It's like something about the word.
Oh, I see.
I cross a large set of stairs that I guess I'm jumping up so fast it manages to cut into my shields, but it's nothing compared to the fact that I now have 286,000 points of health. With my shields able to additionally boost that, I have 653,000, and with the barrier from both the Eclipse Light and the Topaz Brooch, my health pool can easily hit 1 million. Truly, I am to them to die. I quickly introduce myself to the locals before taking the vertical way out, using trial and error with my laser bursts to fire myself into the sky, and finally take on Boss 3 at the top of the pillar, Mithrix, King of Nothing. It takes 16 lunar spikes to take him out of Phase 1. I shot 20 into him. When the lunar chimeras came in to spoil the fun, I blasted them as well. My lunar spikes atomize the second phase out of Mithrix immediately as he spawns, and then we finally get to a part that'll actually worry me. Phase 3. It's the only one that really poses a threat. So we're unkillable thanks to our massive health pool, right?
Yeah.
How we get that health pool is through our items. When Mithrix enters Stage 3, he enters a very brief phase of invincibility. When does this invincibility end, you wonder? Once he steals all of your items.
Oh, no.
Now, I've done this fight enough times, aka more than once, to know that this will happen. So I hide on a pillar as I watch my health get reduced from, at times, 1,000,000 to 2,100. He took 2 of my fucking zeros. I let out a barrage of spikes before he starts retaliating, knowing that their travel time plus the following lightning strikes are going to damage him enough to get some of my items back, and it does manage to get me my 17 stone fluxes. Even then, it only brings me back up to 38,000. In an attempt to reposition while he moves closer, I do end up accidentally throwing myself off the pillar, and I land right in front of one of the Mithrixes. I do all I can to beat the brakes off this motherfucker, and with enough right clicks, he is finally down. And then the timer shows up. That's right, moon detonation in T-3 minutes. Normally, now that you've freed the rescue ship that's at start of commencement, you would book it back to there to hold off the Void Reavers and make your way to wherever you're going next. However, we still got one boss left to kill, baby. Thanks to the power of 47 wax quails, I am not only able to clear the gap between where I ended up and the ship in a single jump, but I am also able to just slide past all the oncoming Void Reavers, allowing me to make it back to where we spawn. See, where we spawn, there is now a glass frog that you can pet. By petting it 10 times, you can spawn the Deep Void Portal, which takes you to our final stage of the run, the Planetarium, a giant ring at which the opposite end faces the Voidling. Just an absolute fuck-off spider of darkness who wants to kill you. Unfortunately for him, we have 1,000,000 points of health. Honestly, thanks to the basically infinite range of the spikes, the only real challenge here is what happens between the 3 phases of the Voidling fight. Platforming. I do eventually make it through with the absurd move speed that the Wax Quail gives me, as well as my teleports. I hammer more Void Spikes into the Voidling than the amount of pixels countable in the footage on screen right now, and with a final health pool of just max health alone, 319,418, I finally succeed, killing all 4 major bosses in a single run by mainly prioritizing growth and then just kind of giving up and trying to salvage any kind of enjoyability out of that. I use one last slew of laser blasts to make it to the Void Portal at the end and leave my fate unknown. As I said at the beginning, yes, you absolutely can, but knowing what I've gone through, why would you?
Why did you do this to me?
I didn't realize until I started playing how truly torturous it was ironically going to be. There is a timeline where I only took health boosting items whenever I could, but frankly, after 2.5 hours, I realized that, hey, nobody's forcing you to do this. Change the rules. You've come this far. I wouldn't subject my worst enemies to what I regularly put myself through. So, what's the lesson in all this? Fuck the Stone Flux Pauldron.